now everything is right. So let's try that again. Wait, hold on. Is that right? All in the name of trying to fix my chat here. Okay, okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Oh boy. Okay, so to backtrack a bit, I was accidentally streaming on the wrong channel, is what happened. But what we're looking to do here is kind of understand a bit pixel art and how we can create some tile maps. So I found this tutorial here. We're going to watch this together. This is a good example that it pulled up here. I was able to kind of copy the URL from the live video into my thingamajigger here. Also, let's do this. Oops. Oops. I hit the wrong button. Okay, well, whatever. Okay. So we got this. I pulled this into my notes. We're taking some notes on some things that we like about this. I'm going to hide this sidebar, get more space on my screen here. Not 100% sure. Yeah, it looks blurry enough to be not the right resolution, which means that we're scaled. Okay, and that's fine because I wanted to scale for more space. Okay, so this is what I do. I make like a little mood board sometimes. This is a great tile set. We're talking about, taking some notes, things that I like about it. I try to give a link to the source. It's kind of a hot link. So let's also include the hot link. Oops. Does middle click not work in here? Oh, because it's in a link. You gotta fix that. Whatever. I can just control V it. I can make this a little bit bigger. It seems to be wanting to wrap a little bit. Okay, so there's the hot link to the image resource. But I want to keep it offline so I can reference it later. So we're looking at it. We're looking at some things we like. The perspective is consistent, which is what the guy in the video is talking about. Saying that, it's a very simple top-down perspective. It's a very consistent perspective. I guess the lighting is also probably kind of consistent. It looks like from this tree, it looks like the source of light is directly above us. Light source is directly above, according to the tree on the left. Right? Right, so that's cool. So I was saying things I like simple colors, not a ton of different colors. Lots of solid color space, like the main area here, which is kind of great. I think like these are probably the areas where our characters are going to be walking, which is fabulous. It's like very plain, which means that if you put anything on top of this, there's going to be a lot of contrast, right? So I think there's two ways of doing this. And I'm going to take an example from, I can close that out now. I'm going to take an example from anime, right? Because this is where I noticed it for the first time. If you look at an older anime, what's the anime I'm thinking of? Like really any older anime, but just to pull one out of my head that's popular. What's the show I'm thinking of about pirates? One Piece. One Piece images, right? I don't know. So we're going to find One Piece is, fairly old anime. Okay, so here's an example of an older image from an older episode, right? Compared to like a newer one. None of these. Well, this is like a newer, right? Although this looks like the original opening, but a kind of newer rendition of it. Kind of because the background looks a little bit more modern, right? But well, anyways, what I wanted to point out here was one thing that I noticed when watching anime. This is a very blurry picture, so this one's not a good picture. See if we can find a good one. What if I look for anime early episodes? And let's see what we get here. That's not a good example. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I guess this is kind of a good example. So some of the ways that in animation, right? This is probably a good example for this one, maybe. It's kind of a good example, but it's kind of too small, maybe. For what I'm trying to illustrate here. But let's go to, oh, there's a bunch here. Yeah, this is a good example. This is a really good example. Let's look at this picture. So, one of the things I wanted to point out is when you have like a background and you have something in the foreground and you want to separate these things in animation, what I've noticed, and this is like old school animation, what I've noticed that they do, right, like this in the front, they call this like cell shading. And this is all this stuff is hand drawn, right? But you have this hand drawn thing in the front. You've got these black outlines to kind of help separate it from the background. But what's really separating it from the background is there's like a stark, maybe it's not stark difference in styles. It's like a maybe a more subtle difference in style. If you're not paying attention, you're not really noticing, right? But like look at the coloring and the shading and the style of the foreground, the character in the foreground versus the character in the background. The background in the background, the environment in the background, like what's going on in the background versus what's going on up front. What you see up here is you have a character. It's not really, and this is kind of interesting about anime too. The characters in the foreground, they don't have like, they do have a lot of detail. It's like a kind of selective detail, right? But they're not super detailed. There's a lot of flat colors. This is all in the foreground, from what I understand, is all acrylic paint. So you have these flat colors. You don't have a ton of shading. Like you can see the inside of the ear is a little bit darker, but there's no shadows on the face. Presumably there's light, right? Presumably there's a light source, but there's no like concept of shading here. There's a little bit of shadow under the neck, right? This kind of just helps pull the face away from the neck, right? And there's a little bit of shading on the shirt here, this like undershirt, this pink undershirt. But then this is like the same color as this, right? Which you would have expected to maybe another shadow somewhere in here. I don't know. I'm not a very good artist, so I couldn't really tell you. But the point is, and this too, like the ribbon is very interesting how this ribbon, these kind of subtle lines, these two lines here, carry so much information about this ribbon, right? But it's very flat colored. And this flat color helps it pop out from the background, helps you separate it visually. And the background here has, I don't know if I would call this a lot of detail or a little bit of detail. The background is like more of a sketchy style in terms of the line art. The line art's incredibly sketchy. Look at this, just like scribbles. Anybody could do this scribble. It would really look like garbage if you just scribbled this and you didn't color it. And then the background is kind of like a watercolor or gouache painting. And it's actually like, you know, gives it that, like, you see like a little bit of texture in the background, right? You've got like the grit of the paper. and the way these colors sort of blend together. But there is a lot of lighting in the background, and there's not a lot of lighting in the foreground. And even with the teeth here, somehow we know that these teeth are behind these teeth, but there's no like shading that tells us that. The inside of the mouth maybe has a little bit of shading to separate like the sides of the mouth from the tongue here. And then the nose here has this very stark black outline to kind of give a little bit of elevation to the nose. But that's about it, right? So you have these two different styles here. I think this is also a pretty early episode. And you can see here, right, the background. This one's a little bit different, the background. But the background here is like super, super, super detailed. And then again, the foreground, there's like almost no sense of lighting. But now you have what's his name? Argon? I forget this character's name. Doesn't matter. The swordfish dude, right? The pointy nose guy. Arlong, right, is his name. Arlong. He's got some shadows, right? On his face, over here on his neck, by his was it clavicle? His abs are like completely wild with shading, and then a little bit under his shirt, right? Just like small areas of light. And you look at Nami. Nami's got zero lighting except for her hair, right? So it's like a very weird. They're like picking and choosing where to put detail, and they're intentionally doing it to kind of help separate the foreground from the background. That was a very long-winded explanation. And here's another really, really good example. Again, Nami's got like, her hair's got a little bit of shading, like lighting on it. It's got a little bit of light source on it, and like her armpit. And then I think what I'm seeing here is a little bit under her neck, like right here, under her chin, sorry, is a little bit darker than up here. But it's like subtle because there's so much line art here that it's hard to tell if it's the line art or the actual color. But if you compare like this area to like this little area, this under her chin actually does look like it's probably like this color. And I guess they're probably working with a more limited color palette too, which is maybe why they're not going too crazy with the shading, versus in the background, we've got like this watercolory, everything's fluffy and super detailed. They have more colors because watercolor just like naturally mixes all these colors together. And here's a really great example. Foreground's kind of blurry too, but you can see the foreground characters because we're zoomed out, right? That's why there's no detail on these sheep, I think they are. These guys are all flat colored, all the characters in the foreground. And then the background, what's interesting here is like half the canvas is just white and blank. And like you can see individual brush strokes here, which is really crazy. So what I like about this example that we're looking at here is because we have a character here, and because we have, I mean, maybe this tree also, it does the same thing. Or I should say it opens us up to the same thing. Like having this flat background means that our characters can be more detailed, I think. And then the opposite, I think, is also true. Like if you have a detailed background, that means that your characters need to be more plain and flat colored, right? Otherwise, you're going to get lost. You're not going to be able to tell where your characters are. So I think it's very cool that they do this. They make a lot out of this visual space, and then they put the details around the edges of things, right? The stairs are incredibly detailed, but even though these stairs are detailed as they are, there's still a lot of edge surface that's just flat color. Like on the top of these stones here, there's like a little lines of highlights, but mostly flat color. And same thing here. And then here, one cool thing that they do that I'm noticing is they fade it out. It gets darker as it goes to the bottom. And what's cool about that is that like here, this is the same, more or less fading to dark. Like it gets to about here. It doesn't go all the way down here. Like this could be like another set of tiles maybe. And really the way to inspect this, by the way, is to, uh, can I just copy the image? Open in default app. I don't know what the default app is. Oh, hey, the default app was Sprite. uh, that's cool. I don't know. I don't know how Sprite like kind of registered itself as a default image editor on my computer, but I do love that. Oops, I'm trying to. What's the? Oh, there we go. I have to click over here. Whatever. Here we go. Now we can really zoom in because we have a image editor, and zooming in will reveal the very, very intricate details of the pixels here, which is wonderful. Also, I'm noticing on this computer, I don't have my usual palette, so let's go grab that real quick. I think I get it from low spec usually. I'm just gonna type in low spec, and what the heck is the name of that? I don't know. Adam C. Eunice palette. I forget the name of it. I think it's named after his game, but it might not be. Apollo. Okay. I think is a character in his game, maybe. I don't remember. But the Apollo palette, where's the link? Search by name. Apollo. I'm gonna grab this palette. I like this palette, just looks pretty. How are we gonna grab this palette? I think there is a, well, here's an Sprite, sorry. Photoshop ASE. It's not Sprite. It's Photoshop ASE is the palette. We have a ping file. I'm surprised there's no Sprite palette. I forget how it works in Sprite. It might just be an image. Right? Like I might just be able to download the 1x image, save it, and then go over here. And where's load palette? And then we're gonna go to, what would it be? Downloads. There it is. And trying to figure out how to get it to wrap right. Why does that not look right? On my other computer, Ooh, I like the large size. I think what's screwing it up is this color, this black color here. So hold on, can I just clear my palette? Palette editor. It's not what I want. I'll just like remove everything. Bonk. Oh, it keeps putting black in. Yeah, this one color is like kind of screwing up the whole thing. Can I just move that to the end? There we go. Can I now delete that? Hold on, what I'm gonna do is go like this. Whoop. Sick. What I would like to do, actually maybe, let me put one back in here and put a, where's my, oh, is there an option to show color wheel? No. I think I like that better, but color spectrum, no. I think this is what I like. However, what I would like on my other computer, somehow I have an alpha wheel. Oh, I thought I had an alpha wheel down there. Maybe I didn't. You can just go like this. And just have one that's set to clear. But I'm pretty sure my other computer has like another thing below this. That's just the size of the swatches. I do like large size because there's not a ton of colors here. Maybe that's what I did. I just went like that and bop. It's possible. Anyways, what I'm going to do now that I've done this is save as default palette. Okay, we figured out how to do that real quick. That's good. Okay, so what was I saying? Right, we were looking at this. I like how there's like detail down here, and here's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of there's red, so you can, or orange, so you can see a little bit better. I don't know, pink. Right, you can see there's a lot of flat space here, which I should probably also put on a new layer. Let me do this too. Bum, 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 bum. Where's the, I thought it was this. It's onion skin settings. There was a button in here that I always forget where it is. Onion skin's disabled. I guess there isn't. But maybe this isn't the same version. Oh, this is Libra sprites. Hello, that's why this that makes more sense. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, actually let's save this. No, save it someplace I can find it. It's for now. Oops. Downloads. That's why my file set sample top down. That's why, by the way, my things weren't showing where I expected them to be because I'm not using the program I thought I was. So what do we do about that? We're going to go back here, tmux attach, going to run this again. Let's close that out. And then, yeah, now here we have what we were expecting. Go to downloads. Yeah, that explains why the UI was so different. Open this. And no, I totally lied. There is no, there's nothing down there. Whatever, dude. But what there probably is if I go here and I hit settings, I can put this on the left, which is what I wanted. Okay, at the very least I got that. And now what I'm gonna do, and this loads the palette from here. But what I am gonna do is go like that. Load palette from here. Oh, because this is indexed, I think. Sprite properties. Vert? Is that why? Is it the color profile? Because when I try to load the palette, oops, not loading the palette. Well, let's do this. New one, RGB. And I'm going to load the palette in here just to do this in a different way. Bonk. And this is good. It put the transparent color. Wait, this is not good. That's not my palette. Oh, it's like sorting the colors, I think. Might be the palette, but it's like sorting by hue. Not by hue, by brightness. or lightness is what it's doing. Ah, here we go. Sort. Can we not sort them? How did I get that to work so easily in LibreSprite? And here it's giving me like a whole mess of problems. Let me just open the file. Ah. Yeah, see, look at that. Just load the freaking new palette from Sprite. Replace current palette. Excuse me? Where's my palette? I don't understand why this is so difficult. Color count limit, that's fine. Let's try that. Last time we did replace and it didn't replace anything. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing it this way. It's like sorting them. I also have this weird feeling like that's not all the colors. Am I crazy? Yeah, see, it was sorting by brightness or luminance, one of those two. Apparently, I don't know what any of these options do. Because I'm clicking them like crazy and nothing's changing. Come on, man. I think when I did this originally, I dropped each one to put it in place. Let's go here. New palette from Sprite. Replace existing palette. It does nothing. It literally does nothing. Unless I just made a whole bunch that are like down here at the bottom somewhere. I don't see it. Oh, there's NES. That's presets. I wish I could read what that says. I think it says gradients. I don't know why it's so flickery. Load palette. Why is it sorting it? Let's look this up real quick. Sprite, don't sort palette. Oh. My presence is being requested. Let me go do that. I mean, I can try to sort them myself, but that's also kind of annoying. I don't know why LibreSprite does what I expect and the other one doesn't. But that said, I'll be right back. I gotta go run for a second. I'll be back in maybe 5-10 minutes. Do a quick ad break on Twitch and I'll be right back. Okay. That off. Okay. Which requires, oh, the version of Aseprite that you're using 1.3 beta introduced the octree method, which requires its own sort order. See the diagram on Wikipedia to get an idea of what it looks like. The ordering of the entries in your palette may not be preserved when you import them. Depends on which file format you use and whether you use the old method, table RGB 5 bits, or the new method, octree. In my experience, a text-based file format such as GPL or PAL is better for preserving both palette order and exact color match. So let's see. PAL file. Let's see if I can open it and it just works. X file. They're talking about Aseprite. Octree palette maker's not putting colors in the order. Okay. If you prefer to store the palette as an image, you can try a workflow where you close the palette panel, then drag and drop the palette image to one side and a working image in the other. Oh, I see. I don't know what options you have in the palette wizard. If you sort in Aseprite, you can click on the arrow button above the palette to see your options in the pop-up menu. They are hue, yeah, exactly. Sorting colors is not a trivial problem. You'd have to search beyond Reddit to get a sense of how deep the rabbit hole goes. That's kind of what I figured. RGB distance is the least helpful. Chroma could be included. Hue is not universal. Low specs palette, let's see how others do it. So we're going to try using one of these other formats and just see if it works. Palette file. Holo.pal. And let's see, I don't know. Can we import that? Load palette. Pal. Oh. Oh. Ta-da! Hey, it worked. Now I can say set palette as default. Cool. Don't save. Oh, default palette. Cool. Or new palette from Sprite. Replace the color palette. Okay, because we're working in a different sprite. So whatever. And then here, maybe we do want the colors to be sorted by hue or something. I don't know. There's not a lot of colors here. That's really interesting. We've got what? How many colors is this? 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 colors. Geez, what a hoopla though, just to get the color palette in. But now we know that we can import it in the palette format and it'll preserve the order, which is great. Okay, and I was saying that I like that. Oh yeah, let me, maybe I do want to load the default palette so I have some colors that I can use here to circle things. I like how it fades to dark here. What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever, it's called overlay. All right, these are my notes. Annotations is the word I was looking for. Kind of fades into the background, which is kind of cool. And then it doesn't go quite to this level over here, right? But it maybe gets to about here-ish. Are those even the same tiles? They look like the same tiles. Yes, it goes to, there's like a square shape here. It goes to about here. And that's where it gets cut off. And it's cool because you can put this tile over there and it just works pretty well. And let's see. So my grid is 16 by 16. These tiles seem to line up to the grid relatively well. I can just hit delete on this layer, which is great. Yeah, and so you see this is like an extra tile on the bottom. And so we have this tile here. And so this tile doesn't actually have the depth on it. So this is something interesting. This is something that I was struggling with in my own tiles, is that I would get like a 9 tile kind of like this, like what's behind this character here. right? I would have this. And then over here, I would be like, okay, how do I get this to have enough space to be like a tile? And then to also have depth like this to show perspective. And in my tiles, I did it in a really weird way where I kind of mix, right? I try to squish it. I really compress it in here. And it's like, not great. Although this is kind of similar to what they do. But then they would have like another set of tiles below this that would give extra depth. And so like, yeah, my perspective on my tiles is also very weird and kind of distorting, right? Very distorting of reality. And I would like to do something more like this. It's a little bit more consistent. But then the way they do this is interesting because then you have like a little bit of this rubble. So like, what does it look like, for example, if you go, because when you have this, you run into some other weird situations. Here's a good example. We'll take some tiles from here and we'll chomp them up here and try to find some matching tiles from the top to put over here. So these are single tiles. They don't count. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for basically these tiles, right? I'm going to get a little bit of this dude's head, but that's fine. And then kind of like this. And then what we need to do here, this is fine. I can go like this, kind of stretch this out to erase his head. And so we have this, which has a little bit of height in it because it's blending this into that. But maybe the real trick here in doing this, and we're going to watch this video and see what this guy says, but I'm just trying to think out loud. Maybe the real trick in doing this is that these tiles don't actually show this stuff. Like maybe this is a different layer of tiles, right? And this is just like an underlayer. So this just goes underneath this. And then this would be like transparent, like these pixels to be more concrete in what I'm saying. We would like erase some of these. Oops, I guess we can erase it because there's no background here. But we would go like this. Maybe, right? Kind of let that, you know, bleed in and overlap into the background. And that might be the way, right? Although these, I think these are also part of the rocks, right? I think we just have to go like this more accurately. Something like that, right? And then this way, whatever's below it, you could just kind of slap in there. Maybe that's the way to do it, right? So now you just have plain tiles here and you could just put any background under it. Only tricky part about that is that the background would presumably, actually, would the background need collision? Yeah, it would. Because if it's popping up over here, for example, then this needs to have collision. So I'm not sure, right? Because here you'd have these little tiles would be up here, and you have to have a layer below it, which is also a colliding underlayer. I don't know. Let's see what this guy says. But this could be a crafty solution to fix one of my biggest issues, right? Because one of my biggest issues is sometimes I can make the tiles and I can make them look really good, but then how do I convert that from, you know, just a drawing into the game into something that's like I can use as a tile set? You know what I'm saying? So let's see where that leads us. Let's see what this guy has to bring to the table. Now we got sidetracked a billion times. Jeez, sorry about that, guys. But we did get the palette in. We were talking about this as an interesting style. Nope. And did I lose the... Here it is. And he's using pixel edit. This looks like a lot of extra work. This is a pain in the ass to do. Did try this program though. I never used its tile features, I don't think. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So he's drawing out like a guideline. Not if they're symmetrical. Oh, I see what he's doing. If he's gonna speed things up, then I'm gonna slow things down. That's interesting. That's interesting. I like his use of guidelines. So this is cool, actually. Wow, that looks amazing. Wow. I think I saw this guy's final product and I copied it from like the end result. I didn't know there was a tutorial behind it because I did make a dungeon in the same perspective. Interesting. Oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. Okay, so this is an interesting idea. Like set up the tiles first and then draw them and then watch how they all patch together while you're drawing them. Yeah, that's fair. I've done that too. How big are his tiles though? He seems like he's got a lot of stuff here. Are these 16 by 16 or 32? Wow. Yeah, this is a tricky thing that I ran into. So let me take a look again. 116 by 116. So I don't have BC. Okay. 116 divided by 4? 3? 38. That's probably bad math. What's 32 times 3? Is 96. He's got a lot of I think he's working with big tiles. Hmm. I don't know, which is probably also why they look so cool, because he's got a lot of real estate to work with inside his tiles to make them look neat. Okay, so, but let's try what he's doing. It's interesting the way that he did it, though. So I'm going to take some notes here about how he did this. Go into, oh wait, hold on. Name this. Dungeon tile set mood. I'm going to put the date first. Today's date, October 28th. Right. And then we should link it to today's. Right. Now we can easily hop back to it when our shit's working. There we go. Strategy. Set up guidelines. Work on the entire tile set in reflections. That's kind of what his thing was, which is really kind of interesting. Tile set, even though everybody writes it as one word, I think it's actually 2 words. So that's kind of interesting. It's totally different from this. But given that, we can try working with it. So let's say 16 by, how many tiles across do we want? Let's do 10. It's going to be 160 by 160. And let's try working. Let's try to figure out how we're going to do this. So he's setting up. Yeah, see, look, it's totally, oh, because my brush size is way too big. So I'm going to just set up some guides. All right. And what he did originally was he created a rectangle. What is the R tool? Blur? Doesn't help me. M, the marquee. But what I want is really a shape tool. It's probably U. Usually it's U. Yeah. So then let's look at the video. What's he actually doing here? It looks like he gives 1 pixel on the top. I think what we can do ultimately is change these to, well, let's do what let's kind of follow what he's doing. We'll give 1 pixel around the edge of everything. And then go like this. But the other thing he's doing, which maybe I could do too here, convert this to a tile map, even though it's just a guideline. Or maybe we just go like like this just because it's easier to do. Right? And then I can go here and take my marquee tool and I can just, right? Easy peasy. And that's perspective, right? And then I can use that perspective on top while I put the dungeon tiles on the bottom. And then as I'm working with these, fine, I'm probably gonna have to change this a bit. Here's where he does his grid. Let's see what he's doing. He doesn't leave like a ton of space on these tiles for it though, right? He only does like one. On the guidelines, he deletes, and then he creates another rectangle. No, actually that should be another pixel larger than it was. Or I just trace over these. And I think that is the kind of guideline. And we'll go, I should just make a new folder for art here. Right, and we'll just say dungeon. Right, cool. So then, to be clear here, now for when I go to do the tiles on the other one, a sprite tile map rotate. Let's see if we can do tile rotations. Interesting. There is a feature for it. Oh no. Oh, this is the oh. Oh, what? This looks like the Godot thing. Is this Discourse? Okay. It's based, I think Discourse is based on GitHub. No, maybe not. I don't know. So another thing he does, yeah, work on, in reflections. Use a minimal 3-tile set, rotate tiles, reuse them, draw on a single tile while the tiling system reflects and rotates for you. Right, so then how do we do that in Sprite? Be available soon in 2023, which means it probably is. I don't understand what's happening here though. Actually, Nestorus will have flip flags like for tiles. This is available in 1.3. You can use space X Y D R. I hate these space shortcuts. You can also configure tile set properties to match flip to automatically rotate. Okay, let's see. Wait. What did he do here? Properties on what? Layer properties? Then he clicks on button mode. Tile set 0. Tile set 1. space X and Y, I guess makes sense. That flips X and Y. Then D and R to flip. Oh, space X, Y, D, R to flip, or X, Y, D to rotate flips. Configure tile set and its properties. Well, I use D for something else. But we're going to try this. Now how do we try this? Because I have nothing on there. So maybe what I do is I convert this to a tile map. And name it guidelines. Right. And then, well, actually, wait, hold on. I wonder if I can have that automatically done for me. Advanced options. Allow flips. Oh, sick. Fuck. Tooltips don't work. Hold on, let me see. I think is my window manager. Create one native window. Right. I think that's what we want. I think if I do that, it won't freak out anymore. There we go. Because it's not, the window manager is not losing focus. Sprite can reuse tiles matching automatically with their flip versions. Oh, D is diagonal. I think that puts on all of them. Let's see. I can't tell if it's checked or not. I don't know. I don't know which one's which. So we're going to see. Nope, that's too many tiles, right? So we're going to undo that. And we're going to try again, convert to tile map. There we go. Now I should only have 3 tiles. That's cool. And maybe what I'll do, I guess maybe this is what I'll do. I'll delete this one and we'll duplicate this one. All right, this will be the actual thing and this will be dungeon. So we'll draw with the tiles. Kind of help me. Oops. Modify existing tiles. So this way, as I'm drawing, shit will happen here. And in my guidelines, we can do a couple things in guidelines. So this is the guide color I used here. Oh yeah, there is an alpha thing here. I didn't make it up. Oh, it's probably because the sprite, what is it under? Color mode. It was probably under index and I didn't have a transparent color. So it just took alpha out of the equation. Is probably what happened. I don't know why I'm lowering alpha right now. What I do want to do is go here and let's go to HSL and just make it a little bit darker. To kind of emphasize this. And then maybe a little bit lighter or maybe a different color altogether. What I might do is put in kind of what he did and kind of put some guidelines in. right? Should that not connect to this? That's trippy. And this doesn't line up over here for some reason. Oh, so that's kind of an inconsistency. Why does that happen? This one's not reflecting right, or it is. That's weird. So I'm just gonna do like this for now. Oh yeah, look, when we flip it, it's different. That's the problem. Oh, I see what's happening. It's not flipping this one the way I want it to. It's reusing the tile, but it's not flipping it. I don't know. So hold on. Oops. Put that back. I think that much is good. Convert to tile map. You see, it's not flipping Y. I want it to flip Y. Dude, these worst UI ever here. I can't tell if these boxes are checked or not. This says D. This says XY. That says X. That says Y. This should also say Y. Oh, I know why. I have to draw it first. Right? I think if I do that, and now I create the tile map. Again, can't tell if they're checked or not. Okay, that time they weren't. So go back here. Pop, pop, pop. And it's never going to touch that again. Diagonal. Now. What? Tile map. Oh, maybe default they're all checked. Yeah. Excuse me. Try it a third time. I thought when they were darker it meant that they were checked, but maybe not. Oops. Also, it's weird that this is below. I expect the options to show below the checkbox. Would have made more sense. Grid height, grid width, base index 1. I know why it's not happening. It's not happening here. That's annoying. It's not happening here because I have to make it as rectangles for that to work. I would have to go like this. But then I'm not mirroring it, right? I want to set up the mirroring first. is what I want to do. So if we know ahead of time that we're just doing 3 tiles and everything's mirrored, then I think what we do is we just go like this and then we convert it to a tile map. And then we know that we have, and then I could do it here if I wanted to. I could be like, okay, that's the first line. 1, 2 is the next line. And then maybe 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then what? 1 for the next one. Right? And then maybe I convert it to a tile map. And then we build it out in tile mode. Right? I don't know why it's not. Oh. Hello? Why can't I select this tile? There we go. But what I really want to do here is flip that, which they said was space Y. I don't know why it's not showing me the freaking tile. I just click it here. Space Y. See, like it disappeared. Okay, there we go. Space X. And then this one should be space Y. D is diagonal. That's not what we want. I think we just do X, Y. No, because flipping X and Y isn't going to rotate it. We have to rotate it somehow. Yeah, D rotates it. And then, oh gosh, I can't tell what's what. X. I think that's right. So to test this out, we'll go back to pixel mode. I'll grab this thing and then everything should connect. Oops, I need to get my brush. Hey, look, everything connected. And then let's go here, do the same thing. Everything's connected. Look at that. Because that wasn't confusing to set up at all. What I would have liked, ideally, what I think I would have liked is to have the different guidelines on different layers. That seems complicated to set up for some reason. I gotta figure out an easier way to get the tiles set up. Or maybe what I do is I set up the tiles with all the reflections, with all the different layers, and I do all that annoying work. And then I just save this Sprite file and use it as a template. And then every time I want to start a new one, I just open up the template file and then I'm done, right? That might be the other way to do it. That way I don't have to worry about doing all this crap again. I would like to have better shortcuts for rotating the tiles and flipping the tiles, which we can customize. We can figure it out, but let's just get things working. Okay, now what I'm going to do is duplicate. And then this is going to be my dungeon tiles. Right? I think this is really starting to be where Sprite kind of really shines. Now, if I do this, the only problem is I think if I do this and I delete everything, I think all my tiles disappear. I don't know. Now let me go into properties. Tile set 0. Just go to properties here. Tile set name. Thought I called it guidelines, but maybe not. Or maybe, sorry, maybe I just leave what I had and draw over it. It's like if I go here and I just start drawing stuff, I see nothing's reflecting here. It knows not to put anything here, but nothing's like reflecting for some reason. Oh, because it's drawing these as new tiles. See that? So what I think I have to do, oh, I accidentally created a bunch of frames here. Oh gosh. How did I do that? Okay, well, let's delete those. That's not what I wanted. I'm so freaking confused. Delete layer. So let's delete this layer. No, my guidelines disappeared. Now I lost everything. I am mega confused. So I should be able to delete this. Oh, because I have a selection. I see. Now let's delete these cells. There we go. Now the only problem here is that's more than 3 tiles. All right, like if I go in here and I start drawing. Oh, seems like it's doing what I wanted. Seems like it's doing what I wanted, even though there's more than 3 tiles over here for some reason. But okay, so let's duplicate this. This will be dungeon. And then tile set. And now, does that create 2 tile sets? Or does that reuse? It reused it. Which is not what I wanted. You know what? You know what? These are just guidelines, right? Does it really matter? Trying to come up with like a systematic way of doing this that makes sense. I think what I do is I just go here, flatten, guidelines. So depth guide. We're gonna separate these. Let's take off contiguous. Go here. Depth guide. Foreshortening is really what this is. Foreshortening guide. Right, that's going to help us make objects that are farther away smaller, like the rocks. And on my depth guide, I'm just going to go here. And yeah, let's take a darker color. And who cares? Yeah, we're going to do this. From what I've seen, this is simpler than trying to set up the reflection on this layer. Maybe it makes more sense to have that connect to the top since it connects on the bottom. Okay, and then what we're going to do is now we're going to set up the actual dungeon tiles. This might be the best way to set it up. And we're going to go to dungeon, and then we're going to have convert to tile map. Dungeon, right? It's going to be a new tile set. It's going to be called dungeon. Sprite can reuse tiles. I hope those are checked. I don't freaking know. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to start drawing some shit on here. I'll use a different color so I don't get confused. Just to kind of illustrate that, hey, there's something going on here. And now we have 3 tiles, right? And now I'm going to take these 3 tiles. I don't know which one I have selected. Apparently none of them. Can I make these bigger? Large size. I want these to be bigger. Preferences. General UI element. I mean, I could also change the UI element scaling, right? What does that do? Whoa, everything's gigantic. Screen scaling 100%. What does that do? Whoa. It sucks there's no 150%, but okay. Let's go to, let's see, files, color, editor. Auto fit on screen when a sprite is opened. That's kind of cool. Discard custom brush whenever eyedropper is used. Downsampling, right click. Selection, timeline. What I want is palette. Is there a palette thing? Cursors, background, grid. Guides and slices. Guides. It does have a thing for guides. Like maybe we can actually make guidelines so we don't have to put them on a layer like I did. But there is an advantage of putting them here. I think that, I don't know. I guess if we save a file with a template, it would still save. A sprite format, compress, experimental, UI with multiple windows, compose groups separately. I don't know what groups are. Use native file dialog, apply saturation value to hue slider. Flash layer when it is selected. I don't know, we'll see what that does. Opacity for non-active layers. Doesn't look like there's an option for it. Well, 1, 2, 3, and then we've got 1, 2, 3. So this is probably yes. So on here, let's make this easier. Let's go to pixel mode. And I'll just draw this so I know it's a corner. Actually, for that matter, this is also a corner. Then wouldn't it be just 2 tiles that I'm using for everything? Yeah, and then the third one would be this middle one. That's what I'm doing wrong here. That's right. So then the third one is the center one where it's the ground, right? Those are my 3 tiles. That was the mistake I made. So if I go here and I hit control, we have 1, 2, and 4. I guess we have 3 here. Let's delete 3. And then just create a new one over here. Like I said, take this, fill that. There we go. Now I'm going to do that. And now that I have that, I've got my angle, my top, and my center. And those are the 3 that we're going to be working with. Right? And then we go here. I don't know why eyedropper doesn't seem to be working for tiles. Remap tiles. What does remap tiles do? It matches old tiles with new tiles. I don't know what that means. Oh, hey, here we go. This suddenly started working. So we're going to flip the Y. I think that's all I need. And then we're going to flip the X. think that's what we need. And we're gonna flip the X again and flip the Y back. Oh no, sorry. And now if I hit this, what does it give me? Okay, yeah, X on the right, X, Y on the bottom, Y on the left. Looks good to me. Then I'm gonna grab this. No, that's this one. We're gonna flip Y. All right, so it's gonna connect there. Then we're gonna have to D to rotate, I think. I actually don't know how that works. Yeah, I guess that's right. And then we're gonna X, right? Because it's supposed to slope down. Okay. This gives us something to work with now. Those are my tiles. We're gonna lock that in place. And now as I start drawing, things should just update automatically. Cool. And I have my guides here for my depth. And the cool thing about this is that now I can go here. I can drop the opacity on this. Right? To whatever the heck I want. Same thing with my foreshortening guide. I'll also be able to move my dungeon layer to the foreground and background whenever I need to. Let's see if this works. I use a bathroom real quick. I'm gonna save this. This hard work of mine that took me like an hour to set up. I'll be right back. All right. see there's a few seconds left on that ad, but I think we're fine here. Okay. So now let me go set a background color. Let me go in here. And yeah. Now, one thing I didn't figure out, maybe I should spend a minute to try to figure this out. I use this tool a lot. This is probably one of my most used tools. I like to have it set to my side mouse button, the marquee selection. However, Sprite doesn't let us put mouse buttons as shortcuts. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just look for the easiest way to do this. Xorg remap side mouse button keyboard key. First, identify the scan code using event test, using sudo ev test. Next, determine the device's bus type, vendor, product, and version by running grep, placing event X with the correct number from event X. Create a new file. This looks really complicated. Mouse remap. Oh, I'll have to restart Xorg for this to work, right? I think there's an easier way to do this. X automation, X11 tools. This looks like an easier way. Install X automation. We need the command xt. So install X automation. Get the package X11 utils for Zev. That makes sense. X event. Move the mouse in the window. Press your extra button. Edit your X bind keys configuration. Replace this, right? Key down versus bind. Oh, okay. Kill all bind keys processes or restart with the configuration. That seems relatively simple. Let's see if we can do that. Do I have? I don't. So in order to get that, we need X automation, I believe. Pac-Man. I forgot what the search. How do you search Pac-Man again? S? Okay, that was actually right. Then we can do Pac-Man minus SY. Oops. That's actually right. I don't know about the Y though. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, now I think I have Zev. I do. Multi output button 8. Button press event. Where does it say button 8? Oh, down there. Oh, button 7. Okay. I was looking at the wrong event. This is button 6. Button 7. See if we look at button press over here. Button press, button release. This is 7. Okay. So 7, we're just going to make it the M key. Make our lives easier. And then we can quit this. Got how to quit it. Just Control C works. .x bind keys RC. Then we're going to say XT key. Oh, M. I'm gonna guess if it doesn't work. Button 7. And if that doesn't work, whatever. We'll figure it out. X bind keys. Huh. How come I don't have X bind keys? X11 utils. XT. Okay, I have that. I just don't have X bind keys. Maybe that also comes from X11 utils. The Pac-Man SS. X bind keys. I don't know. I don't remember if S does. Oh, okay. It's a separate thing. Okay, so sudo Pac-Man C, not U, and X bind keys. Okay, X bind keys. For now. Oh, baby. Now my button just presses M. That's the simplest thing I could have done. For now, right? Just so we can get along with what we're trying to do here. That'll make my life, oh God, so much easier. Okay, it's just a simple thing for now. It's gonna make it hit M everywhere, which is not what I want. I want to do application specific. I just realized this thing's in my face. I want to make it more application specific, so that way, it'll only do that in certain programs, and other programs it'll hit other buttons. Would be wonderful. But yeah, that's okay. It's a good way to get us started. That'll make my life easier. So I can go here and I can fill that. And now they're all filled with the same color. Nice. I think, or maybe my background should be this, or my background should probably just be stark black. Or maybe, let's back up here. The background should be totally clear, actually. And then we should have a new layer called background. I'm just gonna fill this layer with black. And I don't think that is black. No, it's not. It's like a blue. I should add black. Here we go. Now we have black. The blue is good too. We will use the blue. This kind of, not blue, but gray. Okay, we'll use it, but I just want to get started on something. Okay, now let's look at kind of his approach again to what he's doing here. He's got more lines than I do. Now let's take a look at what he did. It looks like he got like maybe 4, 3, 2, no, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is maybe what he did. So he's got more than I do. Oh, because his tiles are bigger than mine, so we can't really compare. And now how is he creating block shapes? He's using kind of like mixed colors. Like he's mixing the colors in between. A little bit of anti-aliasing kind of. Like combining colors. So let's go here. And I guess in his case, because he only got one tile, he only did that on one tile. But so yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I really only needed to have that on 2 tiles. I guess this one and this one. But this is all part of the learning process. But our grids are on different layers, anyways. So how in the heck is this gonna work? I don't really know. I'm gonna pick a random color here. Maybe a brighter color. And I'm not on the right layer, which is why that's happening. Let's lock these other layers because we never really want to be drawing on any of those. All right, there's no reason to draw on the background or a depth guide or foreshortening layers. So here's where we go. We got this. Let's pop open our preview here. We can throw this at 2x. Oh my gosh. Oh, but that doesn't work anyway, so who the hell cares? Right? That's probably why I dragged it out, but that causes more problems. But okay. So now we're going to try to use some rock shapes. Use some of the rock shapes that I learned from the Slinerd or Slinerd, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, tutorial. Right? Which I have an offline reference that I keep over. I think I have it in my moods for some reason, even though it's not a mood thing. Yeah. So let's grab this. Can I copy the image? Copy path. Doesn't really help me, does it? What if I copy the path and try to use that in Sprite somehow? Oh, that worked. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw this over here in a split. And we're going to reference these cluster shapes and try to utilize these in this other guy's tutorial. We're combining the best of, I don't know, we're combining all worlds here. The only thing with this is it's hard for me to see what these are exactly. I think that's 2. So if that's 2, then a good assumption is that's 3, and that's probably 4 pixels wide. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then we've got a 3, so we can go up here maybe and say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we've got this thing here. And oh, that's a good point. To make sure that this tiles, what I should do is I should go to tile mode. And I should go to my select. How do you move a tile? I've definitely done this before. V. Oh. Oh, there's nothing there. LOL. There's nothing on that tile. So, yes, that's why. Now that tile no longer exists, apparently. I accidentally deleted it. Yeah, there's none over here and there's none over here. That's fine. So what we're going to do is just select this tile, put it over here for a couple. We're going to select this tile. I don't know why my eyedropper is not working for tile mode. Literally don't know why it's not working. As both is empty. I wish this had the numbers on it. Okay, there we go. When I click on it, it tells me the number. So that's 1. So put 1 over here reflected on the X. I guess because I didn't draw anything in 1. But it's fine. I guess I'm just not going to worry about it just yet. And then I want to take this. I really want to take that and just draw it here, but I don't know why that doesn't work. Oh, there we go. Oh, because when I hit a transparent pixel, it selects nothing. I have to select a pixel that's actually something is drawn on it. Ah, that makes sense. So if I go here and I just put some poopy lines in, right, right? Poopy lines, they don't mean anything. But when I go into sprite mode, I can now select a pixel that's not opaque. I can X flip it, I can shove it here, I can Y flip it, I can shove it here, and I can do the same thing with this, and I can X flip it and shove it here. Very cool. What it doesn't handle is my background layer, which I said we were never going to draw on ever again. Which maybe I should just fill the entire background layer, by the way. I don't know why it's still... Oh, the palettes are locked. Yes. So let's just do that. And that'll help us see things because it's a really good contrast using like stark black. And then my depth guide is going to have to... that's also locked. So let's lock that one, unlock this one. This is easy to move though. And then here, like working in pixel mode, I'm pretty comfortable with. Oh, but what it doesn't do is this, which would be duplicating this stuff. That's fine. Or maybe like we don't do that here. So that way we don't even think about it, like where the reflections are. I could do the same thing here where we don't have the reflections per se on the guides, right? Because that would give us, you know, guides on half of it. And then the other half, we would just be able to see what it looks like without any guides. So that could be kind of cool. Right? It would be a little bit less noisy than doing it up like this. And just having everything connected like this. You know what I'm saying? So let me go back to that. Maybe I'll do, oops, on the foreshortening guide. Maybe I'll back that out to here. Okay. And I will lock everything but this one. Dungeon. Dungeon. Look at that. Okay, cool. And so that shows X, that shows XY. Everything's all in good order here. So we're going to use these shapes. And down here, I guess we don't really have the same. Right. Or what we can do, what other shapes do we have to work with? Yeah, we could do a double line. We could put a dot here. We could put a double line here. We can put a square that maybe kind of overlaps these two lines. We can do double dots here. We can do a dot dilly here. Maybe a dot over here. That lines up with that, which I don't really like. So let's do a dot dilly here. And what I'm doing right now is I'm not worrying about the color and the shading. I'm just trying to get the forms right using these, like, this is basically symbol drawing what we're doing here. I'm just trying to get my symbols, use some symbols that I know look good, right? That could be there. And then the bottom row, I'm just gonna put some scattered dots, dot, line. Cool. Now, when he does it, I forget how he does it. So what we're going to do here, one of the cool things we can do here, because we imported his GIF, we can use our arrows to see how everything evolves. Oh, and he does it with 2 colors, is what he did for this. Right, I see. We're going to want to put a 3rd color. I'm going to use 3 colors. So what I'm going to do is go here, select these 2, go to shading tool, shading brush. Oh, I don't have those keys set up. Hold on. because I don't usually work on this computer with Sprite. So let's go to edit keyboard shortcuts, and we're going to go to, oh yeah, none of that's gonna work here. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do, what am I gonna look for? Shading, set ink type shading. And I think for shading, I use the Shift S. I don't remember if I used Shift, snap to grid, or this stroke. Okay, so probably Shift S, snap to grid. We don't need the snap to grid. And then ink type, just type in ink type. Simple ink. Yeah, they both begin with S, so that's confusing. D is contour tool, Shift D is polygon tool. I don't really use polygon tools, so that's fine. Shift D. Okay. And then what I'm going to do here, maybe we could even try maybe overlaying some of these shapes on these shapes. I don't know, or just kind of add a little bit more color to some things here. Now it's going to get a little bit tricky because we have our depth guide here. So I'm going to turn off the depth guide for now. And maybe turn off the foreshortening guide so we can just focus on the coloring aspect of this. All right, keeping in mind that my light should be coming from straight above. And these all down here should probably be very dark. These will probably be even darker than this, but we're just gonna make some iterations of this darkening stuff. All right. And then I'll take a darker color yet, maybe like that. And then that's gonna come in down here. Like this stuff at the very bottom should be totally dark. Right, and these shapes are also the same as these key shapes, which is important, I guess. Okay, this is cool. We're starting to get some sense of depth here. Now, again, we're kind of mixing two different guides together in two different styles. So what he did is he kind of added some pixels in between the cells. So he did like some kind of guttery stuff. But what he did also is he took a color. So in his case, he was kind of going towards blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some colors here. I'm going to take a dark blue, let's say, and I'm going to take this color and we're going to just take like half-ish opacity. And that's going to give us this, oh God, there's something in my eye. That's going to give us this bluish tone of the same color that I'm not using. That's going to give us another color that we can add. We can add that to our palette. And then kind of the same thing. We can use some of these similar shapes maybe to kind of combine these things. I don't know. There's a lot of open space here that I'm not using, and I don't know why. It's probably because there was a guide, yeah, that made me ignore that space, so I didn't draw on it. But we can fill that with this. There's a lot of doubles here that I probably want to get rid of. Like that, for example, and maybe these two. Well, actually, maybe this is just all space that's filled in, right? So maybe that is something we want. This is kind of like the glue that holds everything together. And then what we need is we need more shapes in here, right? Add another double line shape, add another block shape. To make this look a little bit smoother, we can draw over the line, kind of like this. Either like that or like this. I think I kind of like this taily looking thing, maybe. I need to break up some of the monotony here. Right, and I kind of want a little bit more maybe highlights on the top layer of this. off the grid for a second. I don't know why the grid's not turning off. Hello, grid? Oh, because I'm hitting command, which is not a button. That's looking pretty good. Funny thing here is this is not at all the color I wanted, but that's fine. We can adjust the colors later. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but I'll figure that out. We can put a little bit of highlights in the bottom, maybe, on some of the upper squares here. Make it look like a little bit of light sparkling down there. I'm going to start using some of these in this color. But now, as we're getting down here, whoops, we should start to get a little bit away from this color and then maybe a darker color. Oh shit, I accidentally changed this. Why does it let me modify those? That's weird. But okay. All right, and then maybe even this could be, maybe take it one darker to like this color. Right. Maybe even like that. Looks pretty good. Right, I think that looks pretty good. And then we gotta kind of blend this into something else. Maybe what I need is another color here that's gonna be maybe like a darker bluish. Right, mixed with this color. Right, and that's gonna be a new color. Bring that back up to full. And maybe we'll start packing some of these colors in here. I'm just kind of doing whatever I feel like. I think it looks pretty good though. Cool. And now I can start working on these corners that I've been kind of neglecting here. Let's put my guides back on. We'll go into my corners, try to make some of this stuff connect. Go back to the regular colors here. And some of my other shapes. This shape. We got... what was the other one? Yeah, 3 across and then 3 across, right? And then I'm gonna erase some of this. So we're gonna kind of want to go over this line a little bit, almost like be like, hey, look, there's light here, right? So don't forget about that space, but we also kind of want to paint over it. That's a little bit backwards, but I think that's okay. Maybe we can reflect some of these to here. Maybe we could do one of these there. That might be kind of cool. And do like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 here. That could be kind of cool. Maybe even throw some of these 1 dots on the top. Double. Just kind of leaving this bank open to get ideas. So what is this? How else can we represent this? This is like a block with, I think, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Is that the right shape? Or is it like this? It's 1 more than that. I can't tell. I think it's 1 more, right? And then since we're on a diagonal here, maybe I should try to rotate some of these. And I might go a little bit off script here on some of these shapes. Try to fit something because it is like a different perspective now that we're on an angle. But the one thing I do want to keep in check is I want to keep the shapes getting smaller as we get to these lines here. Okay, let me turn off these guides, make this a little bit less messy. And let's get some of our stuff in check here. We'll do this with a shading brush. And the light's still going to be coming from the top, right? So that should still be straight down like this. Is that right? Or would it be more ambiguous and come from the top left? I think the light doesn't move, right? Also, this line here that's going down to the bottom, I'm going to shade a little bit, like down shade it as it gets to the bottom. We'll do that in steps. No, because this is still light, so I think it is going to be a little bit. I can just hit X, do the opposite here. I think that shading is going to be a little bit ambiguous. It's going to be from the top left, the light on this one, because this is still going to be the top. This is going to be the top. This is going to be the bottom. So I think it's going to distort reality a bit. It's not going to be exactly right. Right. Even get some of that in. And then let's get some of this glue color. I'm going to call this glue. That's going to be the name of this color. Rock glue. And we can connect some of this stuff. We can go here, connect some of this stuff. That's going to look really nice, I'm sure. Connect that. Put a little bit of glue in here. A little bit open on the top too. Now if I'm gonna keep it true to what I have here, let me add another color that's transparent. And what we're gonna do is grab glue and transparent. And we're gonna do a shading brush on that. I'm just gonna paint with a big brush like this across. There we go. That looks a little bit more easy to read. And then we can also, oops, take away some. I don't want to take away too much. I got to remember I'm focusing on the corner piece, making it consistent with the sides. Maybe even what I do is maybe I just fill all this with glue. And then, right, I have this other kind of dark glue, I'm going to call it. So let's take dark glue and not transparent, but dark glue and glue, flip them, and kind of, again, using a bigger brush, kind of just step in here. Right, putting a little bit of color in like this. I think it's kind of coming together. Very, very cool, right? Very cool. And that's pretty good. And then I could take this maybe in transparent and like maybe create some gaps here a little tiny bit. But not everything's totally filled, right? And that looks pretty darn good to me. Right? I keep going back and forth between looking at this and looking at this, and that looks pretty good. Right? And now I gotta handle this line that kind of comes down. It's a single pixel right now, which probably isn't gonna fly very well. What we could do is take an eraser real quick, see what it looks like without this. That actually doesn't even look half bad. Right? So I was thinking it was going to be lighter to darker, but that doesn't even look half bad. But maybe what we do, take a few off of the bottom. Yeah, it's already starting to look a little bit better. Now we've got this color, but what we really need is we need like a darker glue maybe or something. I don't know. Or just anything that overlaps glue just becomes black. And then over here, we got to get maybe dark glue on a regular thing. And then maybe we got to get the dark color all the way up here even. And we've got light color or maybe like this. I don't know if that translates super duper well. I think it needs, maybe it needs a little bit more thickness to this line. Right? And then what we can do is a little bit more shading things. Brush, bigger brush, kind of like this. And then again, take this color and my transparents and my brush. Kind of pull them up a little bit. Actually, before I do that, let me go like this. This color and this color. And then dark glue and transparent. I have them both selected. Maybe I just drop the brush size down to 1. Let me throw on my depth guide so I can trace it exactly. Take off my depth guide. And we gotta break this up a bit, I guess with some regular glue. Let's look at the foreshortening guide because stuff has to get smaller, we said. Right? So you can take some off with that. It's missing something, right? Like it doesn't read exactly right with the depth. Let's look at his again. I think his are getting darker and darker than mine. And how does this work? He's got some gaps at the top here too. I see. I see. He does kind of the same thing. So one interesting thing that we could try doing a little bit cheating. So let's go here. Right? We could take some of this and we could actually go like this and just trace over this and just hit hue saturation. I like HSL, so that's what I'm going to use. And we can make the hue a bit, I guess make it more reddish. And maybe drop the saturation a bit and drop the lightness a bit. Or we want to make it more bluish. Right, I guess either way leads to blue. It's a very extreme hue shift, but it's kind of what I was doing before. And can I hide this while I'm doing this? No. So let's go like that. Take off my guide, see what that does for us. It kind of does. It kind of works, right? It's very interesting. So I think we can do the same thing again and pick this one and do the same thing. I'm going to hide it so I can see what it actually looks like while I'm doing it after I've made my selection. We could go red and we want more desaturated. I want that red. That's like pinkish, right? Let me go full saturation to see what color I'm actually working with. Oh, I see what's happening here. It's gonna do everything, which I don't want. I want to actually go to my selection Let's take my selection tool, which I have selected. And I want to subtract this. How do I subtract this? I think that adds the selection. Oh, maybe that subtracted it. Yeah, look at that. Now we can do some hue shifting. Purple actually looks kind of cool. And then we can go less saturation, less brightness. Oh, we could do that, right? It makes it like a lighter color. What do we want here? What looks good? I think red can also maybe work. I don't know what alpha does. I think that's changing the alpha of the actual pixels, which is not what I want. I want to like kind of blend it with what's there. Oh, HSL plus. Oh, that looks way better. I don't know what changed. I guess I used a different algorithm. That actually looks pretty darn good. And then that actually is kind of helping us with our transitions. Now, the only downside to this is that, like, because I did rectangular selections, we do have these very rigid borders, but we can try to work with this and mix it up a bit more and blend it a little bit better, right? To kind of make it not so stuck together looking. And kind of using the same shapes that were on the bottom. That pixel like sticks out a little bit, but maybe I like that. I don't know. We could also add some more light to the bottom, right? Is the other thing we can do. Go the opposite direction. Or maybe combine them and do a little bit of both, right? And you see, like I'm going around, even though these are mirrored, I'm going around because I'm seeing different things in different places and just kind of letting it mirror, yeah, but also kind of doing what I feel looks the best. This looks like it needs to be broken up a bit, which we could add more of this color in. Keeping in mind our guideline here and our desire to make the colors darker as we go down this way. Right, we can turn off this depth thing. Does it look good? Kind of. But I think also, let's put on the depth guide. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eraser. I'm going to start straight up erasing some tiles around here to kind of break it up a bit. Because he kind of does that too. He also kind of creates some cracks here when he does that, which is kind of cool. Which we could really throw anywhere, realistically. Like we could throw some here too if we think it's going to look good. Maybe we'll try using these small patterns down here to add some flavor. Okay, that's a little bit too obvious. Maybe that looks pretty good. I don't know. Let's turn off the guides. Keep the guide off for a second. Try to make it look a little bit more natural. Yeah, it still looks kind of flat. I need to make it look more 2D somehow. I think the problem is there's a lot of pixels here with that don't have flat shapes, which is kind of getting away from where I started, where I said I liked the flat shapes on things. So maybe I just need to make more bigger shapes here on some of these colors. I'm just going to start painting in randomly, making some of these shapes bigger and more solid. This does need to fade down a little bit better though. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. That reads a little bit better. This corner piece is terrible, man. I almost kind of want to delete it and start over. Put on my foreshortening guide. That's probably good. Kind of fill it with the glue. And kind of like persisting this light is a little bit difficult, I feel. Let's get that depth guide in now. By the time it's here, I feel like it should be totally gone by here, right? Maybe it should be like that more. And then like that. Maybe some part of it should be like this. But I guess part of it too is that things, I think the perspective also needs to change, that things as they come into here also need to get a little bit smaller towards the inside of the corners. Yeah, like his rocks are a little bit smaller here, and you can see the way he's like kind of positioning them. It looks like a corner, and his edge doesn't go straight down the diagonal. It kind of like meanders a bit. So we can keep this up here, this depth guide, and maybe sort of, you know, wiggle it in a bit. It's really difficult. Maybe what I need here is smaller rock shapes that kind of pile up to here. Let me put on my foreshortening guide. I guess we want some things to cross over that gap, maybe. So it looks like they're, you know, not total holes in cracks in the walls. It's okay, I guess. And then go like this for my shading brush. And what's he doing? Like, how's he coloring these? So I think one thing he does a lot that I'm not really doing, like look at how much flatness there is on these shapes. I think that's my problem. Once I start adding the color in, I'm getting a little bit too crazy with adding a lot of different colors. And like looking at this, I can't even tell what's what, right? Like it doesn't look particularly bad, but it is very difficult to read, right? So I think the solution to this, I might have to redo this one too. I think the solution to this is to make more flat surfaces, right? To get those shapes in better. Oh, jeez. It's a lot of iterations that we've done here, but I feel like I'm learning quite a bit as I go along. Like maybe this red that we kind of came out from our, oh, I see what I did there. I accidentally hit this. Maybe this red that came out from our hue shifting experiment is something that we should be using. I don't know why I can't draw on this right now because I have my shading brush on. So maybe I should just be making more rocks that are this size. And then what he's really doing is he's not just kind of randomly darkening them, he's giving them contours is what he's doing. So he's not, I think some of the ones on top, yeah, some of the ones on top, but look at this, it's bright on the top and then completely shaded on the side. And then in the cracks are the contours, is how he's doing it. So I could do, again, I could maybe start out with my glue color. All right, so then I don't have to draw glue. I can just go, okay, now we got glue everywhere. By the time we get to the bottom, we're not going to really want glue. Or what I could do is say, okay, maybe for this part of it, we want gray glue. And then the kind of bottom we want like this. Like it kind of is another technique. We can kind of put some bands of colors to kind of help us decide. I lost that red color. I never added that to my palette. I liked that red color. This one. Add that. I like that color a lot. Okay. And then this color was also not in the palette. We can add that one. Okay, so let's try a different approach here. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to grab this color, fill it. And we're going to kind of pre-decide where these colors kind of combine and mix in. I think red is the next progression here, which could be, again, this is glue color. Maybe this isn't right then, 100%. Just kind of overlay some stuff. And then the bottom is going to be like that. And then we can draw over it with this color. Right, we have some rocks on the tops. My depth guide, I don't think I need depth guide here. I need the foreshortening guide to help me figure out the rock sizes. So up top, we've got some pretty hefty size rocks. We can even try taking this to the next level by going with a square that's 3 by 3. Kind of doing a similar shape to what we had over there. And then this one, we'll make it a little bit wider. And let's try to do a little bit less, maybe just bigger shapes. Right? And then we can kind of cut out some shapes here. I think that's one of these. That's kind of like this one. Right, very cool. Let's look at that. That's looking pretty dope. I don't know why that. Oh, right, because we have this color. That's fine. So that should be this, and this should be that, and that's fine. And the other thing to consider too is the top should probably be the very, very lightest color, right? In all of this. Get a little bit more of a rounded organic shape. Oh, this is good. This is very good. And now we've got this, so we can make some block shapes here. And we can put some small shapes in between, I think. I'm going to reverse some of these shapes for a little bit more naturalness. I don't know what the word is. And then here, I'm going to do 2, 1, 2, 2, diagonal, 1. I don't want it to line up with that necessarily. Just kind of putting them in a bit randomly, but following these patterns. And then this is kind of like a diagonal meets the other thing. And let's turn off these guides for a second. Okay. But the glue doesn't, does the glue change color? The glue, his glue is basically the same. No, not really. His glue turns to black at the bottom. So at the very bottom here, his glue is actually black. So we should grab this and just get rid of that. Not that that color doesn't exist, but it's not glue. And it's not really glue here either, I don't think. Let's change this to this color. Kind of keep the gluing, this gluing glue. But what I could do is here, right? Maybe that's what the color of the rock is. Let's go here. Maybe that's too extreme. Maybe those colors aren't as closely related as I thought they were. Maybe I go like this. Yeah, no, these aren't the right colors. I think what I need here is a lighter color of this. So let's go HSL. Can move it a bit more yellowish and a bit more lightish. But I want it to be noticeable enough. Right. That's not noticeable enough. Ooh, I can't even tell the difference. Oops. All right, maybe it needs a little bit more. Oh, geez, I'm changing the, that's why this isn't working. I'm like, why is it like keeping up? Okay, so what I need to do is grab this, go down here, I guess, grab this. I don't know, it's always gonna put me there. I always forget how this works exactly, because if I go like this, it's gonna change the swatch, right? Edit color. Hey, oh, that's why. I don't want to edit the colors. That's why I was doing that. So if I go like this, the color's not going to change now. Good. Good, good, good. What time is it? It's 2 p.m. I'm gonna have to eat and I'm gonna have to work out, which is a problem because I haven't done workout in a while. I also feel like I'm kind of cooking here a bit. I mean, I'm not really. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth, but there's a lot of learning here. So what I need to do here is let's grab this color and I'm going to go here and we're going to lighten this. And now this should kind of work. I don't know. I don't think there's enough contrast in these colors. Maybe this has to be darker. Which means these probably also need to be darker. Hey, look, there's some depth now. Right? Right. And then the glue on his, he's like got more rocky stuff in his walls than I do. So he's actually got less glue than me. We go like this a bit. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. And then under here, he's got darker stuff. So maybe here we use dark glue. There we go. Now we're starting to get some definition in these walls, right? Okay, now I need to do something with these tiles. I think this needs a darker progression. That's glue. I think over here we need to start pulling out glue and start putting holes in. I don't know if it's holes or I'm doing it as holes right now. We could make it black, but holes are easier to turn to black than the other way around, I believe. Okay, so this is so decent. Right? And then these can be dark colors at the bottom. That's looking pretty good. But then he's got still more contours. Yeah, I don't know. And his shapes are more round. Actually, kind of more square, really. They look round when you zoom out. He's not using like the same shape patterns that I'm using here, which might be what's limiting me. So I might have to change that. And this really down here shouldn't have anything in it. That actually might help. And then having this just be filled in the middle. Why did that not work? Let's just go like that. Oh, because this is not a tile, right? If I go to my tiles. That probably needs to be an even darker color. Maybe even like this. Yes, now it's all the same. Cool, cool, cool. And we can try starting some patterns on here like what he did. Oh, we can't put that there. Sorry. Sorry, 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 sorry. That should be completely blank. And then if we want to blend that, that blending has to happen over here. Right? That has to happen here. But then the problem you get here is you got kind of too much light down here. So maybe we need to make this one has to be even darker. So this one, no, 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 no. This can be, let me just take my bucket tool. More like that. I don't know if now there's enough contrast there though. That's fine. And let's fix this thing here. This actually almost looks like it would be decent if it was flipped around the other direction. So I'm literally just gonna take and flip like this. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird idea. Didn't exactly pan out the way I expected. Yeah, my foreshortening guide says that these fragments at the bottom should be much smaller. It's decent, I guess. Okay, now there's less different colors, so it's a little bit cleaner than it was before. Not totally sure if it's obvious what it is. The other thing I can do is try running hue saturation on the whole thing. Hmm. What was it like before? Oops. Kind of like this a little bit better. It's like totally off palette now. Only problem. We can also try color replacing. Replace that with that. Replace that with that. This glue color is going to have to be something different. We can go with something like this and then kind of mix it ourselves. This one we can replace with this one. That looks a little bit better, like more on palette at least. Now the other thing that's a little bit strange, right? We're in a dungeon. What is our light source exactly? Like what color should our lighter tiles really be? Like our, not our lighter tiles, but our lighter areas. What color would that be? Because normally you have sunlight, which is kind of a yellowish, orangish color. But if you're in a dungeon, I would assume really it would just be very dark in general, and just everything would be bluish. It would like a bluish kind of light. Actually, it doesn't look terrible, but I need to make it look more like, I don't know, walls. Again, my rock shapes are like not good. Let's look at his rock shapes and just copy him. So he does like these U-ish, yeah, he does like these U shapes and these N shapes. I'm gonna say like they're archy a little bit. They're kind of wide and they're kind of archy. So if we want to make this like read kind of like his, we just put like a couple things like that. Maybe take that away. This could be an N shape. That would be more like the shapes that he's using. This is so frustrating. I'm so close, I feel like. And again, this is another weird shape. Not really a... There you go. That's more of a U shape. And I guess we can kind of continue that here, maybe. I don't know, let's do this real quick and let's just see what this looks like. If I save this, if I export this as a sprite sheet, merge duplicate, I don't need the split layers. Sprite, output file, by rows, packed. Packed doesn't do anything though. You know, okay, I picked horizontal strip. It's clearly not previewing it. Oh, there we go, sprite grid. And now if I do by rows, by columns, packed, there we go, that's my packed one. I don't really understand what packed does. Try to fit all frames in the best possible way. Okay. By rows. Tile sets. That's actually the entire tile set, by the way. That's actually the entire tile set. We did everything with 3 tiles, which is actually pretty impressive. Actually is pretty impressive. Okay, so let's go here and hit output. Export. I don't know where that went. Oh, because it went into art. Okay. And now, where, I don't know. I had tile setter on here, I thought. No, process. That's fine. Did I not? I might not have it in here. Oh, no, I do. It's going to be another thing. What's the shell command? I don't know how to. Okay. Start in control mode. No, that's capital C. Do not start the Tmux server as a daemon. I don't know what that means. Maybe I don't need -C. Unknown command. Let me look this up. Tmux start detached session and execute command. Oh, it is Tmux -D. Tmux. Oh, I have to give a name. Oh, the command new session. That's what it is. Okay. Okay, so let's go here. Create new sync region. Right, and this is the center. So I guess build borders blob or Wong. We could start with Wong. But I feel like it's probably this one. Let's go with blob anyways. Okay, and then I'm gonna go here. And that's the top. And hey, that's pretty good. We're using basically the same one for everything. Actually, what's really funny is I think the one that they generated might actually even be better than the one that I came up with. Yeah, it might be, which is kind of stupid and scary at the same time. But now let's go here and not use a composite for this and go like that. And I don't want to flip this and flip that. I guess I gotta go for all of them. Oops. Would have been nice if I could just specify it once. Actually, I guess it doesn't look that bad. That's kind of not what this program was made for, though. Like, this program, I was only supposed to make the top tile, I think, and it was supposed to composite all the rest of it for me. Well, actually, it created all these other blob tiles, right? It did do that. It did do that. So I didn't really make all of these, right? There's some shapes here that I didn't have to make, presumably. These I didn't have to make. They're not right. Um, right. But maybe I could make a single tile that does look right, and then it would make it for me, all the other ones to fit them. I don't know. I guess this doesn't look terrible. And then probably what I would do is I would create some variation tiles for the floor. Put some stuff in the middle. I guess this looks decent, right? Right, guys? These are more, we picked up more techniques kind of on how to do the same thing. What we're really looking for is we're looking for ways to be consistent. Like I want to make a, consistent perspective and just being able to consistently reproduce similar results just in general. Like know how to just make these things without having to think about it too hard. So we did come up with a couple of interesting ideas today. Just kind of review like using 3 tiles to do everything, and then using reflection to create all the tiles for us all at once. I think these are good techniques. I think if I practice these more, it'll start looking a lot better. And then what? Can I add like another layer on top of this that does the same thing? I guess I could. That maybe makes it look like there's a hole in the middle now. Oh, I have to watch his video again to kind of follow his strategy for creating those tiles, and maybe kind of try to break down those tiles a bit more to understand the shapes that he's using and how a particular group of pixels translates into a particular shape when you zoom out. I think that's the biggest thing in general with pixel art. This could be interesting, though. I wonder what this would look like if I just drop this into my game right now. It's very different from what I thought I was gonna do today. Like he brought up this example. Where was it? Today's mood thing. He brought up this, and he produced something totally different. Which, by the way, even these shapes are different shapes than the ones that I was using. And they use less colors, but they do have that kind of banded color thing that I was talking about. And I guess he's got like 3 different colors here. He's got like the light color. Yeah, there's a little bit of highlights on it. The light color, the medium color, and the dark color. And for him, the dark color goes to reddish, and then it's like a transparent at the bottom. So what I might do is try to recreate this tomorrow or later today if I hop back on, but I need to do some life things right now. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, guys. Thanks for watching me fumble like crazy with artwork that I don't quite understand. Ugh. Appreciate it. And we will try again tomorrow. Also, this thing's really in my face. I got to figure out a solution for this. All right. Peace.